Welcome to 15 Minutes of Consulting Firm Best Practices. My name is Maria Isabel Rios. I'm joined by David A. Fields. Wave hi, thank you.
Hey, hi, I can follow instructions.
Thank you. For those of you who are new, we like to jump right in.
This whole format is just a question-based format. So people submit questions. These are actual questions that we receive. And so if you're listening, you can type your questions live and we'll get them today if we can, or get them later, or just email questions.
Exactly.
Okay,
Thank
sorry.
you. All right.
Recording.
Question number 1. When do referrals start generating business? I've been in business for about 6 months and I'm asking for referrals, but have yet to see them come to light. And this is a question from Christian. Thank you, Christian.
David,
you
want me to do this one?
Sure, go ahead.
All right, so here's my question for you. He said, when do referrals start generating business? I think that was it. Do you think he's talking about referrals or introductions?
Good question. I think he's talking about referrals, but my initial inclination would have been to answer about introductions. So
all right, so let's explain the difference.
To pass.
And because people use referrals sometimes when they mean introductions, and then we'll answer the question. Okay, so introductions versus referrals. Sometimes in an ideal world, you receive a referral, right? Meaning a client, a current client or a past client refers you spontaneously, unsolicited, to someone else, right? Whoever, a lumber company comes in and says, hey, who should we use, right? And your client goes, oh, you should use Maria Isabel Rios. She's awesome, right? That's a referral. An introduction is where you say, hey, Maria Isabel, would you mind introducing me to Christian? Because I think you're, for whatever reason. Okay. So I think that they're probably talking. My guess is if he's been in business for 6 months, he's asking about introductions, because he's been asking for introduction. He's like, well, when am I going to get some? So let's hit both.
Before you start, David, sorry. Thank you for sharing where you're at. We got everything from the East Coast to the West Coast of the US, and a person joining us from London as well. So thank you.
Introductions?
Introductions number 1. Go.
When should you expect results? You should expect results immediately, but that's if you're asking for introductions the right way. And most people go about introductions in a horrible way, right? They're doing the who do you know who could use what my consulting firm does kind of request for an introduction, and that's just terrible. On the site, I know we do have some articles like the perfect introduction email, I think, and some others around that. So I would go back in that. Referrals are, I think, more interesting, right? Because that's the platinum standard, is when somebody refers you. And I'd actually be interested in the comments if people who are listening, have you received referral business? Just like a quick yes, no. I think, Maria Isabel, tell me if it's different in the sort of the folks that you are the lead on. For my clients, certainly and I think across our experience, referrals are typically like 50 to 70% of where business comes from.
Exactly. I agree with that completely. Particularly as where incoming business comes from. Completely unprompted, delightful experience. So-and-so share their worked with you, have had a great experience with you. Let's connect.
Yeah, exactly. So how long does that take? If someone's been in business for 6 months, should they expect that kind of referral? And my answer would be at 6 months, maybe. If you've been asking for referrals, you're focused on the wrong thing, right? So you just need to focus on providing good value. And that's what most consultants do, right? Just, your job is to create value, right? If we think about the spinning cycle of consulting, win engagements, profitably create value. So just create value, focus on that, and referrals will come. If you deliver an amazing experience that makes a client want to say, holy cow, this was awesome, I need to tell the world, you'll get referrals. So how long, it's less about how long and more about how good. Do good work. Is that fair? What do you think? Isabel, is that a fair answer?
I think it's completely fair. It's also fair that oftentimes we have the expectation that because somebody introduced us, that could result in business right away. And it may be that they were looking to understand what options were there. So focus on trust building, focus on connection building as the first steps, which is what we recommend you do anyway. And anyhow, right? And worry less about the project that it's coming. Be attentive, and when the opportunity comes and when the person you've been introduced to opens the door, then you can make the turn, right? But step number one is to focus on building that trust and building that relationship, in my opinion.
All right, back. Well, why don't we do the next question? We hammered that one. What do we got? I'll read this one. What does this say? I have a potential partner with a technology product for which my firm can develop an implementation and deployment offering. Okay, interesting. It has potential, but requires acquiring partner-specific tech knowledge. What should I consider when structuring a referral agreement with them?
Oh, I like that.
Okay, that's a good. You want to do that one? That's an interesting
sure.
one.
I'll take a first pass.
Consulting. Yeah, all right, go for it.
All right. So, for those of you who know us, we love partnering as an approach. It sounds like there's an opportunity here. Like with every opportunity, take a few minutes to think through, is this opportunity worthwhile spending time and energy that you're taking away from your current clients and your current businesses? This is not a judgment-loaded question. This is an analysis-loaded question. The answer may well be yes, absolutely. It has the potential to be big enough of an opportunity that I can develop the tech skills to serve it. Because you're having to develop skills that are specific to that partnership, then the question becomes how you set up your partnership for long-term success, and so that you can recoup your investment, right? So not only on a project-by-project basis, what's going to be your ROI in the long term, and is it worthwhile investing that in the beginning? But also, how do you secure your partnership, right? So one thing I would keep in mind when you're in conversations with your partner about the terms of your agreements is, how are you safe for the longer term? And you can do that in a couple of ways.
Maria, what do you mean by safe?
Meaning that they're not going to make the same arrangement with you that they're making with 3 or other 4 consultants that are developing the expertise as well, and you're all doing it in parallel. So one of the elements you can think about is having right of first refusal for the implementation piece. And that will be tied, and the way you make it right side up is with delivering excellent results. So set up a parallel metric of client satisfaction that you're driving towards, and try to come to an agreement where if you're delivering on the client satisfaction, then you have a right to see implementation projects first as a way to recoup kind of your investment in their technology product. Another way is to establish a period of exclusivity, right? Which are similar tracks or lines of thought where you can build that on. Another element that we would consider and encourage is, because you're coming in with a technology partner, doesn't mean you're removed from the project definition phase and from the proposal project. So how are you going to set up your partnerships so that you can understand what the context is, to then be able to propose an implementation that meets your client needs and that maximizes the potential for client delight? David, what do you think? What would you add to that?
Well, so it's interesting listening to you talk to that. And I think it's probably for this person's question, where they have a friend that has a technology. I think that I agree with all of that. Where we've seen, and so first of all, I'm a fan of platforms. I think you're a fan of platforms. For folks who have implementation type practices, you can really do well if you are attached to a certain platform. And we have clients who are Salesforce.com implementers, and it's just, I mean, you can practically write your own checks because that platform has taken over the world. But of course, you're not going to get exclusivity with Salesforce.com.
Fair.
And so if you're part of a larger platform, I think it is worth, as you said, first of all, it's worth doing some analysis. What is this really going to lead to? How much would this generate for me? What's the long-term, or at least the midterm trajectory of the platform? Because if you get tied to the platform and the platform doesn't do well, then you struggle. We have a client that was tied to I'm trying to remember the name of it doesn't matter, to a certain platform that has to do with call centers and stuff. And their business was built on it. But then when it was overtaken by ServiceNow, then the business plummeted. So I do think you also want to just be careful of how you tie your business to a tech platform, any given tech platform. But we've seen a lot of consulting firms do well. And again, I'd be interested because I didn't ask this last time. Do people listening, do you have other questions about this? So if you have other questions or you don't think we've answered the right question, just type it in the chat. Hopefully we'll see that. Also with referrals. I don't know. Is that fair kind of pushback, Maria Isabel? Because I think there's these situations where you can be like the first one in and is awesome. And there are situations where there's something huge. Atlassian has a bazillion partners. Microsoft has a ton of partners for Azure or whatever. And then
getting exclusivity and getting a first right of refusal is a no-go from the beginning. You also have some references to a proven implementation model. So my approach was, let's think there are no references, and these are firms that are commensurate in size. Then how would you build?
Yeah, and that can be fun. That can be exciting. We've seen that work really well with a number of clients.
Exactly. All right.
Okay. Do we have time for another? What do you think? Idra, throw another question up there. We'll see how we do. We have like 1 minute.
All right.
Gosh.
Okay. Reading this question, the question is, what's a typical response rate on initial outreach using your 111 template? So how about we do this? How about we set this question for next week?
Okay.
The answer to this question and spend a minute sharing what a 111 email template is, because the question has a clear point of reference, which not everybody would perhaps know. So invitation is this before you start sharing, David. If you are familiar with RIP around a 111 email message, put a thumbs up in the comments. If you're not familiar yet, put a thumbs down in the comment, and that will get us a sense of where you're all at. All right,
David, that would actually be really helpful. If you're listening, you can do a thumbs up, thumbs down, or I know it or I don't. I'm going to try and do this in under 60 seconds because I know we need to scoot, or I'll do it in 30 seconds. 111 email, super effective outreach, especially to cool contacts, but you can use it for warm also. It is, and I can answer what the response rate is, but the 111 means there's one focus, the other person. You're not selling, you're focused on them. It's right side up. Okay, we've got some thumbs down here. Okay, so I'll explain it. And we have an article on this somewhere. I don't remember what its title is. We have an article.
It's called Perfect Outreach Email or something like that.
Okay, good. Perfect Outreach Email. All right, okay. So here's your 111 email. One focus, the other person, one line. It is literally a 111 email can be done in one line and one question. And so a 111 email might sound like the subject line might be still in Miami. And hi, Maria Isabel. Are you still in Miami these days? It could be as easy as that. Haven't talked in forever. Are you still in Miami? It's about you. One question, very easy to answer question. To us, it seems like an easy format. What we've learned from experience is it takes some practice.
Exactly.
And I can actually answer the response rate, but I know we're late. So I'll do it next time.
So suspense dots. tune in next Monday, and that will be the first question we answer. 3 requests from you before we leave today. First one is connect with David, connect with me on LinkedIn. You have our handles right at the bottom of the screen. Please do that. Second request is if you haven't subscribed to David's articles, and we just referenced a couple, davidafields.com/subscribe. And the third request is so that we can answer your actual questions, email them to us at info@davidafields.com or, send them to us via LinkedIn. It was great being here with all of you. See you next Monday.
See ya.